So I'm going to show you the last half of how I epoxy a speaker box, but this works with everything if you're trying to make anything look like glass. So I did a pre-mix. I also took hot glue. That you can see this bead. I took hot glue, which I shouldn't have used because unfortunately I do believe hot glue is made from horses' hoofs, so I do not support that. But anyways, I took enough epoxy. As you can see, the ripples, and for why it does that is because on the back side I usually clamp a piece of wood and I put aluminum foil on here so it doesn't stick to it, so when I remove it, it doesn't have too many imperfections. All it has is the air pockets that were trapped. Now this is how I get rid of the air pockets. I've already pre-mixed this. I just warmed it up just a little bit, and as you can see, I put a sticker. That's just a sticker underneath the table that I placed there just so I can and you do just enough to cover because this will spread, so be careful on how much you actually pour everywhere. And then you can take a brand new card and lightly fortunately it looks as if I might have had a hair unfortunately get trapped under that, so I will have to explain that to the customer that I have a dog hair trapped inside. But anyways, I take a light card. I take a card and I lightly drag it over the areas to try and get as close as I can to the hot glue, like so. Pull this all back, so you can see this is all running towards that edge, and then bring it back as much as you can, and then let it self-level. You can usually see if you have an unbalanced table. I should have tried to balance this one a little bit more, but I kind of rushed on this to bring the idea of recording. I usually don't record this process. This is very tedious, by the way, to do this, because you have to really make sure. I should have on a painter's propylene suit. I should technically be inside a well-controlled, climate-controlled area. So the temperature, I believe, is 77 Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what that is in Celsius. I am Canadian, unfortunately, so I do look at things in Celsius mode. But anyways, so you take this, try to make sure you get all the areas as much as you can without overstepping the boundaries of the, unless it doesn't matter what you're sticking this on, this is the bottom, then you can go over this line if you want, but I have boards that I am screwing in between here, baffle boards for dividing lines for this box. So I do have to be careful how I split this up. So this does have a volume that I am supposed to follow, etc. Almost done here, like so, and then bring this back, bring it back around this side, and that is all of it. To the naked eye, that's as much as I can see right now. Now I also have this side over here that I have to do, so I will put that there. But my next step that I do is take a torch. As you can see how much that cleared up already, and now you cannot see those ripple lines. So now I take my torch and I heat this up just a little bit, just to give this, get rid of all the air bubbles for one that come up from testing this. But what I try to do is bring the heat over it really fast. That way it makes it so it's really warm and makes it so it'll self-level. So this will balance itself out so you get no ripples in there at all. And yeah, it just makes a really cool project. It's cheaper than plexiglass, but it is not as clear as plexiglass. That is the one thing. It is not glass-like. It looks to be glass-like, but in all reality, I will take this off here for a second. Just bear with me for the jitter that you're going to see here as I take this camera off. The stand, I have a little stand that I have here. But anyways, as you can see, you can see through the reflection, it's pretty clear, but you can see through it. This is a sticker that's on here. I'll pull the sticker out. That way you can see how much the sticker doesn't lose that much distortion. So it's a really cool, you see my hand underneath there, right? So it's pretty cool on how you can actually transform this. So I hope that this was a cool video, inspires you for guys who are building speaker enclosures to say, hey man, for $150 you can get one of these jugs, which will do 2 feet by 4 feet by 3/4 inches. That's how much that is for $169 off of Amazon. I don't get paid for this company, but I found this company so far. It's actually pretty darn good. It's very forgiving. So far out of 3 that I've tested. The one I would have to give to say that one I tested, it didn't work well, only because also my fault. I was doing it in a garage when it was winter. I did have propane heaters in there, but it's not the same. It only gives the area, so technically it was not in a great environment. So I will not give that product a bad name. But yeah, this will all clear up and clean, and as you can see, it won't go over those edges. This is already from before. This is dry. There's nothing on there, as you can see. But that's what it did when you clamp. So you really have to clamp your boards. But the problem is with this wood, the veneer here, when you clamp it, you see the rings, unless you use different boards. And it's just a pain in the butt. So that's one of the flaws, but this is the back side, so you don't see that. That's what the front side looks like. Because of that, here's one that's already been finished as well, and this is what the back side looks like, because I used 2-way tape instead to do that process. So as you see, it's not crystal clear through there, but you can see through it. It's pretty darn good. So we're gonna hope that when we light it all up, everything looks good. But as you can see, it just gets those little tiny air bubbles that you cannot get outside of it. But from a distance, it looks like it's clear and you can see what's inside the box. This one turned out a lot more cleaner than those edges did. One love. Hope you enjoyed.